Check 212. It's a foggy evening. Yeah, I reckon that's all right. Yep.
Football Queensland's coverage of the 2019 NPL, NPLW and FQPL season is brought to you by Play Football. Join the team today. Visit playfootball.com.au to find your nearest club. Football Foundation, making football more accessible for every income, every gender, every ability, every background, every Indigenous Queenslander. Donate today.
Round 20 of the NPL Queensland. We're down on the Gold Coast, but it's a foggy Coplix for this match between the Gold Coast United and Brisbane Strikers. It's Rafe Griffin with you in commentary this evening. Been a warm day around the southeast corner, and with the cool night air, that's what's contributing to the foggy evening. So it might be a bit difficult at times to pick out the players, but we'll do our best to try and bring you all the action here in this round 20 game. Well, before we start, we couldn't do what we do without the support of sponsors. And for Gold Coast United, they'd like to thank the support of Exim and Orbit's Elevators, while for the Brisbane Strikers, they're thankful of the support from Symbio Laboratories and Guzman and Gomez. And I've got a special guest with me this evening, Andy Allen. As I said, very foggy evening down here in the Gold Coast. Welcome aboard for the match tonight.
Thank you very much, and you are not wrong. It is extremely foggy, isn't it? It's going to be a hard one to be able to see this one, but I'm looking forward to it.
Just waiting for both teams to come out onto the park. They're still in the dressing room. The NPL women's game just completed, so we're just waiting for that to be tidied up, and then we'll get underway in the men's action. Successful night for Gold Coast United in the women's, 5-0 winners over the Sunshine Coast Wanderers, so hopefully that might be a bit of an omen for their men's team this evening.
Yeah, they'll be hoping so, won't they? It was a strong win from the women's team after we watched a bit of that one, which was fantastic. Unlucky for the Sunshine Coast Wanderers, who put in a good shift as well, but couldn't find the back of the net.
Well, while we wait for the two teams to come out in the men's game, let's take you through the two team lineups for this evening. In goal for Gold Coast United is Duro Dragicevic, 2 Tyler Wagstaff, 3 Michael Thwaite, 4 Yunye Yabe, 5 is Dean Vernison, 6 Jason Campbell, 8 Justin Mackay, 9 Brandon Reeves, 10 Connor Smith, 12 Braden Steele, 14 Jaron Pfeffercorn, 15 Brandon LeMay, 16 Tom Miller, 18 Lachlan Remmers, 19 Ryan Kavanagh, and the reserve keeper is Eamon Barrera. For the Strikers this evening, in goal is Bon Scott, 2 Chris Marr, 3 Michael McGowan, 4 Matt Richardson, 5 Lloyd Caliban, 6 Scott Halliday, 7 Fraser Hills, 8 Ryan Palmer, 9 Andy Pengelly, 10 Jake McLean, 11 Zach Maltby, 13 Seb Scaroni, 17 Hiroki Amori, 18 Cade McDermott, 21 Danilo Kovacevic, and the reserve keeper is Tommy Masaric. Gold Coast United coached by Christian Rees, and the Brisbane Strikers by Owen Baker. So Andy, it was a thumping last time these two sides met, with Gold Coast United coming away with a victory, but since then the Strikers have brought in reinforcements, getting back to a full squad in terms of players available through fitness, so should be expecting a different result this time round.
Yeah, definitely. I think the last time out, the Strikers weren't in too much form running into this one, but they've got the form coming into this one with only 1 loss in 5 games and 4 wins. So they're really going to come out of the barrels, I'd imagine, wanting to make amends for the last result of losing 4-0 against these guys at home earlier in the season. So it'll be a really, really interesting match to see how it pans out in the first 15-20 minutes as well.
Cian Cuba, who scored a double on that occasion for Gold Coast United, not in the squad this evening. The two teams are starting to mill about, and they'll be accompanied out by the Aldi Miniroos tonight. Andy, can you tell us more about Aldi Miniroo round that we're currently in the middle of during the NPL Queensland?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really exciting. It's the first time that we're able to have an Aldi Miniroos round in the NPL across the whole of the country as well. So we're the first ones here in Queensland, which is really, really exciting. But it's all about celebrating those Miniroos, making sure that they see the pathway as well here nationwide, but really celebrating what they do in the future of our game. So it's fantastic to see big smiles on their faces as they walk out with their local heroes.
And we're about to see them very shortly. The two teams have emerged from the dressing rooms. The fog is cleared just for the time being, but as we look off to our right, it's still rolling through here at Coplix, and the two teams about to enter the field of play for this evening's match. Gold Coast United up against Brisbane Strikers in our match of the round from the NPL Queensland. And the Strikers will be led out by their centurion, Jake McLean. You'll see them in shot very shortly. They're about to wander past our commentary and camera position. And here come the two teams out onto the field here at Coplix. Can I venture you for a tip tonight, Andy? Maybe just keep it a little bit quiet until the players wander by.
Yeah, we don't want them to turn around and say anything to us there. But I'm going to tip a Strikers win here. I'm going to go for a 2-1, I think, on this one. What about yourself?
I think you're very close to the mark. Of course, obviously the Strikers buoyed by that FFA Cup win last week to take them through to the round of 32 once more. We can see the two teams now lined up. Our referees powered by Total Tools this evening. Beck Durko has the whistle tonight. She'll be assisted by Dion Bradley and Daniel Scully. Two teams just going through the pre-match. While we wait for kickoff, it just might give us a bit of an opportunity to catch up on what's been going on around the grounds. Try and bring you those scores here in a moment once they come up. So, of course, last night, Olympic were victors at the Cleveland Showgrounds to the tune of 6-0 over Redlands. We've already had one match completed this evening. Peninsula Power have snuck by Brisbane Roar 3-2. And 22 minutes gone, it's Moreton Bay United who lead Brisbane City by 1-0, and they've just kicked off up in Mackay between the Crusaders, Magpies Crusaders, and Southwest Queensland Thunder. Starting to come back to the pack a little bit now, Peninsula Power, but still another 3 points this evening.
Yeah, definitely. They need the points at the minute after a couple of shaky games. They seem to be getting back to it, and obviously dropping out in the FFA Cup after leading 2-0. That can't have done the confidence any good for them, could it?
Okay, so it'll be the Strikers that will have first use of the ball. Playing in the grey or silver tonight. Same colours as Gold Coast United, so the Strikers forced into their away strip. Andy Pengelly looks like he will get us underway very shortly. So we're underway, round 20 of the NPL Queensland. It's Gold Coast United at home to the Brisbane Strikers. And Gold Coast United trying to get it out of their own half. Successful in doing so. Too far for Connor Smith on this left-hand touchline. And as we go into this game, it's 5th versus 8th. Gold Coast United in 5th place on the table. They're 5 points adrift of the 4th place. Their counterpart side on the Gold Coast Knights. The Knights still with the benefit of 2 games in hand as well. Here's McLean. Oh, good little ball through. And it was Thwaite who got there in the nick of time. An early chance there potentially for the Strikers.
Yeah, it was a good ball, that one. It was very well read, though, showing his experience there, Thwaite, reading that pass and blocking it out.
Gold Coast United look to go on the counter immediately. It looks like it's going to be a fast-paced game. end to end from what we've seen from the early exchanges. United, however, forced back into their own territory, and here is Slate. Yabe looks ahead, picks out the run of Smith. He can't do much with the ball, and it's just steered across the goal line for the opening goal kick of the evening.
It was running away from him, that one, wasn't it? It's gone over the head, but it was just going away from him, unfortunately. He couldn't really control that and bring that down.
We've got a problem with the ball. Chris Maher's going to give a quick test, and he seems pretty happy with it. Back to the dressing room for the other ball to get a bit more air into it. So Scott sends the goal kick eventually booming into his attacking half. McGowan, has he given away the foul? Not in the opinion of the referee. The Gold Coast United players weren't too happy with that decision. As I said, Andy, 5th versus 8th going into this evening.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if the Strikers do win this one, they could go above Moreton Bay, depending on their result as well this evening. But as you said before, they're 1-0 up, so Strikers will be really, really wanting a win here to make sure they stay on the same amount of points at least.
Goes without saying, but as we enter into the last third of the season, every point valuable in terms of trying to get into the top 4 finals positions. Both teams out of the race to finish top of the table. McGowan recovers for his side, plays it back for Scott. Unconvincing clearance, but finds Halliday in the middle of the park for the Strikers. Maher had to get in between the two defenders and wasn't successful in doing so. Campbell delivers a low cross, slides past the heels of the Gold Coast United player. He was looking for some sort of whistle from the referee. It was Brandon Reeves, I should say.
Yeah, it was looking like he wanted a penalty there. He might have got clipped on the heels. I unfortunately didn't manage to see that, but referee, play on.
McLean, as I said earlier, playing his 100th game for the Brisbane Strikers this evening.
It's fantastic to see when players actually make that 100-game mark now, because it doesn't happen in these local leagues so often, does it now? But loyalty is such a good thing to be rewarded.
Had a bit of a funny incident with his father last week. I was at the chiropractor Saturday morning and he was leaving and I was going in for the next appointment. And Jake McLean's father said, "Look after this man, he's the commentator." I said, "Who are you?" And he eventually gave himself up and went in to have a chat to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor goes, "Oh, I didn't realise he was a good soccer player." I said, "He's probably in the top 5 of players in Queensland." "Oh, but he's so modest." Yeah, I said, "Yes, he is. That's the way he is." Jake McLean, and as you say, worthy reward, 100th game for his club this evening. Hacked away by Maher, it was.
It's a small world, isn't it?
It sure is. On a Saturday morning, he said, "I was where you were last Friday night." And that was at the Gold Coast Knights, obviously, in the FFA Cup game. And
yep, big game that one was as well.
It was indeed. Had everything in the end, rain and wind, and turned out to be not so nice Gold Coast night. Sent long here by Halliday onto the left-hand side of the pitch where Amori was the target for the Strikers, away by Dragicevic. Not too much doing so far, Andy.
No, it's been very quiet, hasn't it, early on? There's not been too many opportunities on goal, but let's hope the game opens up a little bit more for a bit of a better spectacle.
A cagey start, as they say.
That's exactly it.
As I said before, two teams desperate for points to try and stay in touch with the top 4.
Yeah, they'll want every point they can to try and get their way back in it, as obviously finals football does mean a lot to these clubs, especially when there's a lot up for grabs now. Bragging rights.
Two teams that have, or two clubs that have been on the national stage previously. Of course, Gold Coast United in the A-League, Brisbane Strikers in the NSL. Here's Ma. Forces the pressure there, Gold Coast United, and Scott just going to take his time to consider his options. Richardson, long in search of Hills. Keeper's on the edge of the area and had to get a foot to it in the nick of time because Hills was there lurking. Is he in an offside position? No, says the assistant, so play will continue. Halliday, or Morey making the charge on the left-hand side, and Wagstaff just lets it cross the far sideline.
It's interesting, strikers seem to be taking that long ball approach, don't they, when they're into it to try and break the defence, but Thwaite's got a lot of experience, so I can't see that breaking it down too easy.
And plenty of height in the back line as well for Gold Coast.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Thwaite was in the team of the week as well for round 19, so probably a player to watch out for again.
Plenty of experience for the former A-League man.
Although he's a defender, he can still be a threat at goal as well. I think he's scored 4 goals already this year, so definitely can pop them away.
And long-range effort falls wide of the upright. I think it was Hills that got the effort away there for the Strikers. So first sighter from the Strikers. Their last league game, the Strikers lost 4-2 to Peninsula. A couple of goals at the end of the first half gave them some hope for Peninsula, but the Power came home the stronger. While Gold Coast United made the trip up to the Corporate Travel Management Stadium and defeated Brisbane City 1-0. That just flashes in front of the Gold Coast player. McGowan was also there for the Strikers in the hands of Bon Scott. Gold Coast United 2 wins in a row, looking to make it a hat-trick here this evening. The Strikers, well, they lost last round, but before that, 4-match unbeaten run, losing to the Premiers. Not too bad an effort, but looking to claim that winning form once again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they'll be very happy with the form they've had previous to last week, and hopefully they can build on it. They'll be very confident. They won in the FFA Cup as well, quite convincingly. So let's see what pans out here.
Here's Yabe. Just shields the ball in front of his opponent, Halliday. In fact, it's Palmer. McDermott wasn't the most convincing in the FFA Cup victory early doors last week before redeeming himself. United launching the counter. Sent long for Steele. His opponent is Amori. Calling for it is Campbell. That's where it comes. McLean providing the hassling for the Strikers as United skimming ball and cut out by the defence.
Seems like they've got an awful lot of time on the ball there, didn't it? They did the build-up, the quick counter and came back, and there was just no pressure for them. So quite interesting to see how Strikers set up in the defence as well, giving them that space.
Now they get another opportunity here, potentially. Claims of a high foot against Mackay. Falls on deaf ears from the referee, Thwaite. And United will build up once more, right from the back. Yabe. Ma gets there in front of Miller. Ma pokes it through for Pengelly. He's caught offside, however. They won't want to give Pengelly too much room. 17 goals, including 13 in his last 6. So really starting to find a purple patch of goal-scoring form, Andy Pengelly.
Yeah, definitely. It's you don't want to allow any striker in that type of form any chance to have a shot at goal, because when they're in that much form, that much confidence, anything can find the back of the net. It's definitely a confidence thing, isn't it, when they're striking at the goal, and if they've got that confidence, they often end up in it.
And a bit of motivation. Currently sitting third in the Golden Boot. Would like to obviously get up near the top. And, well, he is near the top, but up to the ultimate step.
Yeah.
Strikers are always hungry.
Definitely. They've found their form again, which is fantastic. It was a bit worrying, wasn't it, at the start of the season? Everyone was kind of talking about strikers and what was going on, but they've settled it down and they've come out the other end, which is good.
Talk of relegation, which was really unthinkable from the strikers. Looks like Reeves just had to stop on his run. Worried about falling foul of the offside flag. Gold Coast United 6th in terms of scoring goals this season with 36. 5th best defence, conceding 23. The Strikers have an even record, 32 scored for and 32 against. 8th in both those stakes.
Let's hope we see a few goals tonight.
And deflected off Ma. And a corner here for Gold Coast United as the tall timber for the home side start to venture into the area to help out with corner duties. And
they've left a one-on-one in defence here as well, so they've all gone forward. If strikers win it here, it could be a quick counter.
So corner signal given. It's the near post tactic this time for Gold Coast United, and you can see the LD Mini-Roos dotting the sideline. Plenty of ball boys and ball girls out there this evening.
There is, isn't there? I don't know how they're not cold, though, just wearing the T-shirts.
And shorts.
Yes, good on them.
Plenty of running around and plenty of adrenaline potentially. Bump there by Hills goes unnoticed, but surely it's crossed the sideline, and it has. Bit of an exchange between Beck Durko and Christian Rees. Should say we're in very close proximity to both benches, so maybe a bit of added entertainment this evening.
We could just be the middlemen, couldn't we?
Peninsula's actually the best for that, and you could just stand there and probably not actually do commentary and just let the two benches go at it. Could be fun there. Nodded away by the defender, and again, or a bit of pinball, and surely the strikers need to clear this because they're playing with danger. McGowan, but then it falls for Wagstaff, and it was a bit of a tricky one there for Scott to deal with along the ground and bobbling.
He dealt with it very well because that was had some power behind it, didn't it? It was like a rocket. It was great technique in the strike there.
Very unconvincing there of the strikers and being able to clear their defensive lines.
Yeah, they just weren't able to get that away, were they?
Referees reversed her original decision. The assistance of a assistant referee.
You can feel the tension rising, can't you, from the Gold Coast United bench?
Well, again, they have to try and get it away here, the strikers. Palmer does eventually do so. And Hills. Ball's across the sideline. So Beck Durko is going to come and have a chat to Christian Rees. Cautioning Christian Rees not to leave the technical area. It's a free kick decision. That's what's going to be the wash-up of all that?
Interesting.
Oh, good ball back for Smith, and he's caught offside. Every decision being ridden here early doors.
Definitely, and I just heard Thwaite talk to the bench and say, just don't worry about it. We're here to play a bit of football. The ref will do their jobs, and we'll do ours.
Well, we've talked about the LD Mini-Roos and LD Mini-Roos round, and LD Mini-Roos Kickoff, in a nutshell, is an introductory program for children aged between 4 and 9 years old. Each week, the 45-minute game-based game, and each child receives an LD Mini-Roos participant pack, which includes a boot bag, football, water bottle, and a sticker sheet. miniroos.com.au for further information, as we see a free kick here to the Strikers just inside their attacking territory.
This could be dangerous, but the Gold Coast have quite a bit of height, don't they? So they should be able to see this one clear, but let's see what happens.
So free kick has been taken by McLean. Easily dealt with by Gold Coast United. No one in a grey shirt hanging around. Thwaite looks to move this one on quickly. Halliday will make sure it's taken from the right position. And the referee will say, well, you deliberately kicked it into him. Let's play on.
Yeah, exactly right. You could have waited.
He was shifting back his 10 yards.
That's exactly it. He didn't deliberately put himself in the way there, did he?
No, we'll put over the eyes of Beck Durko, the FIFA official. Here's Amori in the gloves this evening, once more in these cool conditions. McLean poked it through for Amori, but there were two yellow shirts waiting. And McGowan will just settle things here momentarily.
It's a very nice combination play, to be honest there. They opened it up, switched the ball out, and came back in the middle. Just unfortunate. But it's looking like they might need to get some strikes away from a bit of distance tonight, because it's not opening up too much in the middle.
Here he is again, Amori. Switches inside Mackay. McLean, those two look to be forging a combination this evening. Amori goes down, and free kick decision in dangerous territory here to the Strikers.
Very smart, wasn't it? He knew what was coming. In the back, went down, get the free kick. Thank you very much. And it's a very dangerous position.
Looks to be right at the edge of the area that McLean will have this free kick. 3 in the wall for Gold Coast United, retreating the required distance.
Interesting to see if he goes for a shot or a cross here. It's a position you could curl it in there or go for someone backdoor to knock into the back of the net. Who knows?
Amori's waiting there as well. If they want to play it short, McLean's going to go in towards the 6-yard box and bounces off the crossbar, and Fraser Hills gets the last touch on it, and the Strikers have scored the first goal. McLean's free kick hit the underside of the crossbar. Pengelly had a shot at it, couldn't put it into the net, but Fraser Hills eventually does so, and the Strikers take a 1-0 lead.
1-0 up, and there we go. The game is going to open up now as well, I'd imagine, as Gold Coast United have to come for it now. So, fantastic. We've got a goal underway, and a bit of luck stroked their way there as well, I'd say, coming off the bar there.
First goal of the league season for Fraser Hills, the Gold Coast native.
I could almost tell it was his first goal because the celebration wasn't too crash hot.
It wasn't, was it? It's very muted, wasn't it?
It was. He didn't know what to do, I don't think.
He clattered into the upright as well. So the Strikers with the lead 20 minutes into this encounter. I'll just take the opportunity to go around the grounds once more and see what's happening. It's 1-1 between Brisbane City and Moreton Bay leading into the half-time break. And still 0-0 between Magpies, Crusaders and South West Queensland Thunder midway through the first half. And in the FQPL, Rochdale defeated Ipswich Knights by 2-0. The Sunshine Coast Wanderers convincing leaders against Holland Park 5-0, just over an hour played. Winnemem a man down, but lead Mitchelton by 1-0, 10 minutes into the second half. South and Capella locked at 1-1, 65 minutes in. And a bit of an upset. Southside Eagles leading Logan Lightning 2-0, 5 minutes into the second half. Logan Lightning are starting to get into the same position that they were last year, league leaders, or second. And just falling away in that back end of the season again. Knocked out of the FFA Cup, but seems to be happening again for Logan Lightning, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seems to be a strange one. They just can't seem to get the results on the board that they need. But that's an interesting one, how Moreton Bay and Brisbane City are locked at a deadlock as well. That'll be good for the Strikers if they can keep this lead.
All those teams, the 2 here and the 2 there in that congested mid-table battle.
And like you said before, every single point matters, especially at this end of the season.
Might get a touch on this one, Andy. Gold Coast United coaching bench looking for a free kick. Referee allowing the game to flow. Wagstaff.
They're appealing for everything, aren't they, on the bench tonight?
Even more so now that they're the goal down as well. Defended away by the Strikers, only as far as Yarbe, however. Look to have turned it over. Sorry, Andy.
I was going to say, does it seem to you that the Strikers seem to want it a little bit more? They seem to be first to the ball, don't they?
It does indeed, doesn't it? Yeah. Particularly just at the moment. Like Gold Coast United sort of had a little bit of ascendancy in the first 5 minutes, but really in the last 5 or so, particularly since that goal's been scored, Strikers now more into this game than they were in the early stages.
Yeah, it's had a little bit of a pick-me-up, hasn't it, for Strikers? They've got the goal and they're just got the ball now, but seem to be just wanting it a little bit more.
As we commented before, it's difficult for the Strikers to get out of their defensive third earlier on. Now, it's a little less complicated for them, although Gold Coast United hoping to conjure something here. Intervention by Chrissy Marr and away by Scott. Hoofs this one long. Hills is on his bike, waiting for the mistake from the defender, getting in behind a defensive line, but was Werniston equal to the task for the men in yellow this evening? McLean, fitting reward if he could score in his 100th game for the club. Pengelly, low cross. And United flirting with danger. Plenty of grey shirts there. It's forced the mistake.
Must have been more difficult to deal with than it looked, that cross, but they've dealt with it in the end.
Looking for some movement here for the Strikers. Once again, not a lot of movement. Didn't provide Marr with too many options there.
Not at all. It was quite difficult for him to find anyone, in honesty, but they've got the ball back. They'll build up.
It's not a size with a pitch. It looks like a regulation size pitch.
It definitely does. It doesn't look smaller than any other pitch they've seen, but they're playing like it, aren't they?
Perhaps it's just a bit bobbly, a bit dry, not too much rain in the southeast corner of recent times. Here is Pengelly. And a corner here for the Strikers.
Gold Coast want to deal with this one. Can they get it on the counter and can they get another goal back? You see so many goals on the counter-attack, don't you, these days, and the way they set themselves up. The Strikers aren't throwing too many people forward, though.
Morey presents himself as an option, back out to the corner taker. Hills gets involved. He's already scored one. Hacked away over his head by Steele. Just going to take a quick look at the stats, and position been going the Strikers' way, 55-45. And in terms of shots, not too much to talk about. 2 for Gold Coast United, 1 on, 1 off. And just the 3 for the Strikers. 1 off to score the goal, 1 on to score the goal, and 2 off. So in terms of goal-scoring opportunities, they've been very few and far between in these first 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's definitely the stats don't lie, do they, when it comes to this? It's been a very bland first half in terms of opportunities at goal.
2 number 6s at it, now Mackay. Smith. Weases out Gold Coast United. Pengelly's come out to help out in his defensive territory. Hills sent on the left for Amori. Pengelly up front for the Strikers. Options there through Palmer and McLean, but neither have been able to be found. And Mackay, I should say. And it's offside against Reeves.
Wouldn't you just love to be able to see that one again? It looked like he moved away from his marker quite well, but he's got caught offside. We can't argue with the officials.
Miller. Another long ball forward, but in the wrong direction. Connor Smith threw back his head, just going wide and just send it my way.
Wishful thinking, I think, that one, to try and get it through there. Wasn't happening.
McGowan. Maury just, as this game just slows down to a crawl at the moment. Halliday. McDermott. Amori. Strikers finding it hard to get out of their own half. McLean tried the back heel for Pengelly. Didn't come off, and Thwaite was there in defence. Wernerson. Mackay, touch for Gold Coast United. Campbell now. Yabe. And Miller. Campbell. Playing in a triangle, Gold Coast United. And again, pressure tolls.
There's not many options for the players on the ball for Gold Coast United, and that's where it's getting really closed down. They're being forced to try those balls that just aren't on. And when they're playing in the short triangles, they just couldn't get it out there. Strikers seem to be doing more with their possession at the minute in the build-up play.
McGowan sends it long in search of McLean. Yabe there for Gold Coast United. Ma holds Miller at close quarters. Too close quarters for the liking of the referee. Once again, Thwaite looking to take a quick free kick, but Hill's just getting in the way. Can they try and find an equaliser in this effort, the home side? Smith. Mackay. He did leave it behind, and Miller has got in there. Smith. Poke through. And Bon Scott, who hasn't had a lot to do this evening, collects it in the Brisbane Strikers' goal.
He's lucky it's not a very cold evening, the goalkeepers are. But that was just too straight, that ball. That was never going to create an opportunity there. It's funny, we thought this game might have opened up a little more once the Strikers scored.
And there's all sorts of screaming.
Ooh.
The flag went up initially for offside, and then the free kick has been spotted. Fraser Hill's having a chat to the referee. Took a while for Beck Durko to react. And now Owen Barker having a very animated chat with the assistant on this side.
They were straight into the linesman's ear, I think, because it was last defender pulling back. They were asking for a card there.
No card given, and plenty of feedback being given from the sidelines.
Certainly.
Nonetheless, it's going to be a free kick here for the Strikers. Once again, McLean is on the duties. And the flag this time up for offside. We'll visit footballqueensland.com.au for all the latest NPL, NPLW, FQPL and community news from across the state. McLean, Hill, yes it is Hills. Just neither side really able to grab traction in that final third, Andy.
That's exactly where it's breaking down. The Strikers had the build-up in their own half coming through. Final third, they just cannot link any passes together. And it's the same for Gold Coast United. It's strange, isn't it, to see?
So half an hour in, Strikers lead by the odd goal, thanks to Fraser Hills, his first goal of the season. We should see where people are tuning in from tonight, Andy, or what predictions they may have. Let us know on the Facebook page of Football Queensland.
It's always interesting to see where people are watching from, isn't it? They tune in from everywhere. So welcome to the stream if you are from outside of Queensland or Australia.
Gold Coast United once again, no one up front. And an easy defensive effort there for the Strikers. As I said, let us know where you're watching in from. We'll give you a bit of a shout out if we can.
Like we said before, it's the Aldi Mini Roos round as well for all Queensland leagues this weekend, and really good opportunity to celebrate our Aldi Mini Roos. All the players from 4 to 11 who play our game, they're the future of our game.
And of course you get to see it firsthand as the Football Queensland Mini Roo Development Officer, and you've been on a couple of trips now right throughout the state.
Yeah.
In the van with Kerry?
Definitely so. I think I've driven that thing. I could have driven it to England and back, I think, the amount of times I've been in that van. From Coolangatta all the way to Weipa, which is quite some feat. But no, it's fantastic to get out and about and see the Aldi Mini Roos. Nothing beats seeing kids play the game with a smile on their face.
Well, can this free kick from McLean pay dividends this time? It's about none from 4 in terms of having a chance. Well, there was the goal that was scored, I should say, so got to forgive that one, but the other opportunities have really come to naught so far.
Yeah, and even the goal was a bit of luck, really, wasn't it, for them their way, but maybe I'm being too harsh.
Here is the goal scorer at Hills for the provider in the initial instance. McLean, who goes from long range and steered wide of the left-hand upright.
It's a good job. It is the Aldi Mini Roos round as they save that one behind the back of the net from going too far beyond.
Looks like about a dozen of them have stayed the journey after the walk-on.
And they should be playing at half-time soon as well, which will be good for us to see and the spectators to see as well. I'm sure we'll see plenty of goals at half-time with the Mini Roos playing.
It's a funny little setup here at Coplick. The dressing rooms are on this side, the camera side, and the spectator side on the far side with the clubhouse. Bit of a split.
Used to be an old golf clubhouse over there as well, they were telling me before. So it was deserted for a few years.
So we see this corner, and Nyabe just deflects it across the goal line for another corner for the Strikers, this time from this side of the park. Maury be the man to come over and take it.
It's interesting to see how teams set up at set pieces now, especially after the FIFA World Cup, when obviously England just scored from every set piece almost, and they set up a bit differently. So it's funny to see some teams have taken that back to the training ground, haven't they?
I'm sure a couple of the Striker supporters out there. Declan Rooney and Cameron Atfield. The Strikers scored from a corner a few weeks ago. And I think it's the first time in their living history that that's happened. Evening, chaps, if you're watching. McDermott pokes one through. Once again, Dragicevic, he, like Scott, hasn't handled the ball too much this evening. Decides to use the feet this time for the clearance.
It's interesting to see how the game has changed over the years, isn't it? How keepers used to be just the ones that were good with their hands, but now they almost have to be the best all-rounders. They have to be able to play it short, long, with their hands, throw the ball, drop kick it. It takes quite technique to be able to do that.
Well, 20 years ago, there were times where goalkeepers sometimes didn't even take a goal kick. It was left for another defender or another player, but it's very rare you see that these days.
Very, very rare.
So free kick again here for the Strikers on the transition point between the middle third and the forward third.
It's interesting to see what they can do with this one. The set pieces they haven't done too much with, but I can't say that because they scored from it as well, didn't I? So it's one of those, but they've had a few, haven't they? They've had a few set pieces.
Well, it'll be McLean to chance his arm here once more. Players congregating at the edge of the 18-yard box as McLean sends this one in, and again defended by the home side. Look to launch on the counter, but there's only one man up forward, that's Reeves. Miller's arriving on the scene very quickly as well, and that's where the cross was still directed into, and he had to get a touch on it, Scott. There was a deflection on it, and the defender arrives in the nick of time to clear away.
That was really interesting, wasn't it? It bobbled just in front of the keeper there. He's done well. They've done well to deal with it in the dying embers.
We talked about counter-attacks before, and that was almost a successful one for Gold Coast United.
Yeah, that was definitely unexpected. But like you said before, the pitch does have a couple of bobbles on it.
At the feet of Yabe, and now Mackay in towards the penalty spot. Richardson was the man defending, and then calls his defenders up to the edge of the area.
That was sloppy, wasn't it?
Ooh. Heavy challenge in from Wagstaff, and again the Strikers coaching staff looking for the referee to produce a card. She remains steadfast though, Beck Durko.
It's interesting, they played advantage there. They could have kept going, and they're away on the counter-attack, weren't they? But the Strikers bench went up in arms.
Control, and McLean gets in a touch. Mackay, Yabe. Mackay again. Sends it long. There were no yellow shirts there waiting.
I think that was a slight miss kick, I would like to think anyway.
Connor Smith trying to provide some feedback to his teammate. Pengelly. McDermott, another heavy challenge comes in. Referee's playing advantage, and Campbell scuffs him up on the follow through as well. And McDermott showing some concern here. Referee initially playing advantage, didn't come off.
Most certainly, that was definitely a foul. It's not the first time tonight they've been going in a bit late, is it?
The Strikers bench just asking the question, are you going to keep on letting these ones go, or are you eventually going to produce a card? And might be starting to get to that stage where Beck Durko might have to enforce some sanctions. She's having a good chat here to Chris Marr.
Definitely, it always gets to a point where you don't want to let too many go, because then the game gets ugly. We need to make sure we're stamping on these cards and tackles nice and early, so then we don't see anybody get injured, because that's never a good sign.
Well, in a major boost for football fans across the state, Football Queensland will be streaming all NPL matches in 2019. There'll be a match of the round for the NPL Queensland, NPLW and FQPL. Of course, you can watch us as you are at the moment on either the Facebook page or the YouTube channel. I saw during the week that Western Australia have now joined the fray as well, so there's plenty of NPL coverage right around the state. If you're at a loose end at any time of the day on a weekend, it just seems as though you can pick up a game from wherever around Australia and watch it.
It's fantastic now, isn't it? Even kind of this second tier now is getting the coverage that it so deserves, and there is some absolute quality players that play in these leagues, so it's really good to see.
Watched a bit of the FFA Cup from Tasmania on Monday, and big game on Wednesday night between the Melbourne Knights and South Melbourne. So the FFA Cup continues. I think we've got 7 teams to go, I think, to sort out the final 32.
And then the A-League teams are in, aren't they? And it becomes really, really interesting then.
Of course, the Strikers will be there. McDermott's gone to the sideline and just taking a sip of water and stretching out that right leg. He'll be on again very shortly. In fact, the strikers now back to their full complement of 11.
Just there, whilst that injury was getting sorted, there was some words exchanged from both benches there as well, which is quite interesting.
And that's a long-range effort from Palmer at skies high over the crossbar. So around about 3.5 minutes plus stoppages to the break. Will Gold Coast United be able to get back on level pegging and go into the sheds at 1-1? Or will the strikers maintain this psychological advantage going into oranges?
Definitely changes the team talk, doesn't it? If they do get a late equaliser here, it changes what the Gold Coast tactics might change, and for the strikers for that matter as well.
Pengelly is the target, falls for Thwaite. That's going to be an interesting battle. The young Pengelly up against the experience of Thwaite. Campbell, sorry.
I was going to say at the minute, I think Thwaite's dealt with that one quite well. But as the game opens up.
As it almost did there for Gold Coast United, and Steele inside the penalty area. Latest opportunity for the home side from a corner. Usual suspects drifting forward once more.
This is their opportunity to try and get that equaliser. See what they can do. The keeper from Gold Coast United's ventured way forward as well.
So Miller puts this one high towards the back stick. Nodded away by Richardson and then over the head by McLean. And Hills, he finds himself 2-on-1. Couldn't poke it through. Came off the chest of the Gold Coast United defender. And away by Dragicevic. Simple and strong was the call from Christian Reeves. And tug of the shirt by Palmer on Reeves, enough to earn the free kick. Wait to have it as you'd expect. Poked on the left-hand side for Miller.
And he's been given instruction, every opportunity to take on. So expect to see more of that in the second half.
Pengelly still coming in search of the ball. Maher is looped up from the right back position. He's beaten one defender, very strong. Chris Maher looks up, spots the options, and Pengelly from close range had the opportunity to bury it, but he just got a bubble there and it sends over the crossbar.
Now, with his goal-scoring form at the minute, you would expect that one to be rustling the back of the net, but unfortunately not the case, and it's been sent way, way over the top. That will be playing on his mind, I'd imagine, as they go into the sheds now.
So before the half-time break, let's take a quick check around the grounds once more. 51 gone. It's Brisbane City 1, Moreton Bay 1. And up in Mackay, Magpies Crusaders have scored the first goal against the Thunder, which will help them in their relegation fight. Stroke of half-time, Magpies Crusaders 1, South West Queensland Thunder 0. And in the QPL, in the FQPL, Sunshine Coast Wanderers still 6-0 leaders over Holland Park. It's the first yellow card comes out for the night. It's for Jason Campbell of Gold Coast United. Those FQPL scores around the grounds. Wynnum Wolves still lead Mitchelton 2-1 with 10 minutes to play, and Wynnum Wolves are a man down. South and Capalaba 1-1, right on the stroke of full time, and 15 minutes to play. Southside Eagles lead Logan Lightning by 2-1. We'll keep you up to date with all those games when we come back from the second half as well. But once again, it's familiarity with McLean to take the free kick. Maury's waiting. Tries to dance his way around. There were 3 yellow shirts there who quickly shut down Maury as we go into stoppage time. Probably a couple of minutes of it with that injury to Cade McDermott. Not too much else to sing about.
No, definitely not. It's good to see only 2 minutes, because when we're watching the TV these days, with the VAR, it seems to be adding on to 6, 7, 8 minutes extra time. It's very absurd to what we're used to.
Time is the call. McDermott heeds that call. Maury. Richardson. Can the Strikers find an opportunity here before the break to double their advantage? They'll have to go the length of the park to do so, and Scott does his best to try and launch something. Cut out by Wernerson, and again, scrappy play. Now, a bit of space here. It's Palmer. His opponent's Wagstaff. Falls backwards, however. Perhaps the Strikers just content to play out the half and go in with this 1-0 lead.
Looks like it, doesn't it? They're obviously we're deep into stoppage time now, and they're just putting their foot on the ball, waiting.
Now, has Pengelly timed his run here? We'll never get to know because ball never arrived with him, and that meant the assistant kept his flag down. They're in the territory to score a second if they want to. The Strikers, maybe it'll be McLean. That'll strike a bit of magic. That's a great touch on. Only problem was Pengelly was offside, and that will bring to an end this first half in this NPL round 20 game from Coplix. And his first goal of the season, Fraser Hills, scored in the 19th minute for the Brisbane Strikers, and that's how they take a 1-0 advantage over Gold Coast United into the break. And Andy, to be fair, in terms of attacking opportunities, there hasn't been too many, so the scoreline's probably reflective of how the game's played out so far.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a very quiet half in terms of shots at goal, but let's hope the second half opens up a little bit more as the Gold Coast United try and get back to level pegging.
All right, well, the teams are off to the dressing sheds. As you said, the LD Miniroos are coming out to play as the halftime entertainment. We're going to take a bit of a break as well. We'll be back for second half action very shortly here at Coplix, but at the break, the Strikers have the lead over Gold Coast United to the tune of 1-0.
Why do I play football?
Why do we play football? I play for fitness.
For competition.
Community spirit.
It's healthy and safe. And fun.
I play for celebration.
What's your reason? Join our team.
We swear a lot at Total Tools. We swear by our range. We swear by our service. And of course, we swear by our prices. So you'll know that you're buying at the best price every day. Total Tools. Every tool, every trade. We swear a lot at Total Tools. We swear by our range. We swear by our service. And of course, we swear by our prices. So you'll know that you're buying at the best price every day. Total Tools. Every tool, every trade.
Hello folks, and welcome back for the second half of our NPL Queensland match of the round. The only goal of the after 45, and Andy Allen's with me this evening. Andy, do you think the respective coaches may have said to their charges at half time any adjustments potentially for Gold Coast United?
I think Gold Coast United, they'll be asking for a lot more movement up in that final third. It's been very static, and they want to create the opportunities and take the chances. So it's obviously a game where we're very, very few opportunities. So when they do come about, be clinical in front of goal. I think that's so, so important here tonight.
So about to get underway. The Mini-Roos have had their little half-time show, and now it's time for the big boys to get underway once again. The Strikers leading Gold Coast United by 1-0, as we said.
The rain's just started to come down a little bit as well. It's spitting on us here. So maybe there's a couple of more opportunities to come about if the pitch gets a bit slippy.
Just a couple of drops so far. It was a beautiful day in Brisbane today. It was almost like a summer's day.
It was.
People around the pool in my apartment block. You wouldn't pick that in mid-June anywhere else. But, the Bureau warned that there was some weather coming in tomorrow. It might have arrived a bit early, and my Gold Coast curse in terms of rain looks to have struck for the second week in a row, potentially.
The Gold Coast do seem to cop the wet weather more often than not before Brisbane, don't they? And they have tonight.
Hills nods on in the direction of Pengelly. Once again, let us know where you're watching in from tonight on the Football Queensland Facebook page. Let us know in the comments section.
We have someone watching in from Liverpool by the looks of things. Francis Smith. It's quite a long way to watch from. Welcome to the stream.
Big Frank cheering in the living room. What time would it be there? -9 hours, so just coming up to lunchtime. He's probably had a good breakfast and now just relaxing on the couch watching some football from half a world away.
That's it. They must be missing the English Premier League, so we're watching the Australian National Premier League instead.
And this is Chris Marr. Once again, these sides just guilty of not being able to retain possession in key areas of the pitch. Marr chases this one down. On by Yabe. Mackay. A foul committed against the Gold Coast United player.
We spoke about, obviously, what the teams might have said. I wonder what the referees were saying at half-time as well. Obviously, they have a team talk as well. They discuss what they might do differently in the second half. And I wonder if they had a chat about maybe pinning up a few more fouls early on. Don't let it get too scrappy in the 10 minutes of the second half, the early 10. But who knows?
We'll soon find out more. Here's this free kick, and Scott leaps high to claim it. Ooh, almost in there behind was Hills. Good touch from Campbell.
That was a much-needed touch as well, wasn't it? Otherwise, he was in. So, fantastic defending there as he blocks that one coming through.
And then he's got the folder over his head. Flicking off the raindrops.
I have. It is coming down a bit heavier now than it was previously. You're lucky enough to have brought a hat with you, Rafe.
Ooh, and this is a Maury. Keeps it in just before. No, he hasn't. He's either offside or it's crossed the goal line. No, he's offside is the call.
Just as he's popped it into the back of the net as well. He could have done that earlier on, couldn't he, in the first half with the golden opportunity he sent over the bar. Has to be playing on his mind a little bit. He'll be wanting a goal. We've got Merlin from Croatia. Welcome to the stream, Merlin.
Going right around the world tonight. We are going global, Andy.
Definitely are. We're Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide is what I think they say.
Here's Marr. Once again, a high ball directed in for McLean. Back to goal was Mackay and played it back for his teammate who Wernerson was able to clear away. Here's Mackay again. This is Smith bringing it into his attacking half. Mackay's been influential in this phase of play for his side. Smith just slips over the ball. Can he get back possession? Free kick committed by McDermott, though.
That's not one they wanted to give away at this point in time.
No, they'd virtually won the ball there, the Strikers, and were off down that end of the park. Thwaite nods on. Ooh. And cleared away by McGowan. Good quick thinking by Michael Thwaite, though.
See, they've got a bit of urgency about them now, the Gold Coast United team. They want to get it back going.
Switch of play. Yabe. Again, Yabe, but just held at bay by the grey shirts around him, circling him in a ring. As Gold Coast United make an incursion into the box. Cut out by McGowan, was it?
She waves that one away.
United looking for the shout, not getting the whistle.
In fairness, she's much closer than we are, and has probably made the right decision there, in all honesty. She was very firm with her decision. She knew exactly what she saw, and as a referee, we've got to back them all the way. It's great to see as well the FIFA Women's World Cup, and as Queensland we are represented obviously by a lot of our players being in the Matildas, but also a lot of referees there as well from Queensland, which is just fantastic to see, as they're a massive part of our game. Without the referees we wouldn't have a game, in fairness, at any level, so really good to see them well represented on the world stage.
Casey Rybelt, of course, is a referee, and Chris Beath in the VAR box. Here you go, Andy. You can have the brolly. There you go. You take charge of that. As it does start to stream down a little bit harder here at Coplix.
Try and not poke my eye out with it, or yours. Thank you for the umbrella, Rafe.
You're welcome. If it gets a bit heavier, I might come and join you under there very shortly, or as you said, we might get under the scaffolding.
That's it.
Now, long-range effort here from McLean. What a beauty! Jake McLean in his 100th game for the Brisbane Strikers. Spotted the keeper off his line and opportunistically puts it into the back of the net. Pin-perfect placement from Jake McLean, and the Strikers, 8 minutes into the second half, double their advantage.
What an effort, and what a reward for him of his 100th game for the Strikers, and great effort there. I think the keeper might be kicking himself. He was a bit further away from the line there, but that's the risk you take. He's definitely a keeper that I've seen in this game venture forward, so it's unfortunately being chipped there.
It's been the tone of this game, something out of nothing that really came out of nowhere. We were talking about other matters, and then all of a sudden, there was a goal being scored.
Did not expect that one, did we?
Well, that'll bring the Strikers fans to life even further. Now it's an uphill battle for Gold Coast United to get back into this game.
Yeah, they've got a steep hill to climb now to get back into it. Strikers will be fancying them a bit more composed. Here we go.
Pengelly, he'll be looking to get in on the goal-scoring action and say, just slides in front of Halliday. Yeah, Pengelly. He'll be saying, boys, hang on, this is my show. I've scored in 6 games straight. It's about time you got me on the score sheet as well.
He did have a golden opportunity to do so, didn't he? But couldn't go to it, but
Surely Hills was bundled over. Referees playing advantage. And Beck Durko declares that the advantage had been played.
That was an interesting one, wasn't it? It looked like he did get taken off, but if the advantage has been played, next phase, we move on.
Well, whether you're just starting out or have been doing it for years, there's a football club for you to play in 2019. It's still not too late to sign up to your local club. There's over 2,200 clubs across the country. There's bound to be one just right for you or your child. Girls and boys can start playing for a club from the year that they turn 6. So what are you waiting for? Join the team today and visit playfootball.com.au. As I said, it's never too late to get involved in the season.
Never, never too late. Get a club. If you're looking at playing, obviously there's a lot more people probably want to try and play them now, especially with the Women's World Cup. A lot of people watching the game. If you want to give it a go, give a carrot dangler, toe dipper, there is the kick-off program as well, the Aldi Mini Roos kick-off program, or Aldi Mini Roos club programs as well for those age brackets. But no matter what age you are, there is a place for you to play.
So 2-0. The Strikers, 10 minutes into the second half.
It was probably not the start of the half that Gold Coast United were wanting. And it came to a surprise to both of us, that goal, didn't it?
The wizardry of Jake McLean to the fore again. Strikers here with potentially another opportunity.
It's a dangerous position, isn't it, this one? They can whip it around that penalty area. Spot. Oof.
McLean couldn't connect that time. McGowan and steered wide of the upright.
That was a strange one for Thwaite. He doesn't normally miss those ones coming in the air. He normally comes through and gets that, but misjudged that one, unfortunately.
So United out of their defensive box, and they've turned the ball over again in good territory for the Strikers. Here's Hills, and skied over the crossbar, and the Strikers bench let out a Fraser sigh of exasperation.
It was a tough angle to try and shoot from. He did have other options he could have tried to go for.
Possession still in the Strikers' realm, 58-42. Yeah, I might jump in under the umbrella now, Andy.
It's definitely coming down a bit harder, isn't it?
And the Strikers, 2 shots on target for 2 goals, 7 shots off, and just the 2 shots for Gold Coast United so far. It's very congested at the edge of the area there. Marr loses out that time round, and now here come Gold Coast United on the counter.
Oh, it's a great ball.
It is for Steele. Steele delivers the cross in towards the penalty spot. Strikers recover and clear away. McLean touched in field. Pengelly. And there's a free kick here. Pengelly just clutching at the left ankle. Quiet word again from Beck Durko. It's going to try and check in around the grounds again, and the whistle again is blown. And yes, it will be a yellow card this time to Wernerson, so the second yellow card of the evening for the Gold Coast United side.
I think that might be a bit of frustration coming through there. That tackle, never good to see, and deservedly picks up a card, I'd say, for that one.
So McLean once more. There'll be 2 in the wall for Gold Coast United. Beck Durko gives the signal to go. We won't be restarting until the whistle is blown. Then I'll allow the wall to be set up.
Must be saying now we want to have a bit of shots as the ball's wet, it can slip.
Here's Amori. Shut down by Steele. Oh, good intervention again from Mamori, and McLean just drags the defenders. Ma. Very condensed space to work in here, the Strikers, as the United side hold firm at the edge of the area. And now Mackay, can he launch a counter?
They're away.
Picks out Steele. Maury ever present for the Strikers. Smith, Mackay. Switch of play. Picked out by the Strikers, but turned straight back over to Campbell for Gold Coast United. Thwaite. Yabe. And the flag goes up for offside on this near side against Yabe. It's going to give us a chance to quickly go around the grounds and check in on what's going on. And 8 minutes to play. Brisbane City and Moreton Bay locked at 2-2. An hour gone in Mackay, and Southwest Queensland Thunder have now hit the front 2-1 over Magpies Crusaders. 2 goals in the first 15 minutes from the Thunder. And in the FQPL, we're all wrapped up there. How did it finish up? So Rochdale defeated Switch Knights 2-0. Sunshine Coast Wanderers too strong for Holland Park 6-1. Middleton and Wolves played out a 2-2 draw. Southcote over the top 2-1 over Capalaba. And Southside Eagles defeated Logan Lightning by 2-1. So it's just those 3 NPL games now that concern us. And I just saw a goal scored by Magpies Crusaders. So it's back to 2-2 in Mackay, an hour gone.
Some interesting results going around the grounds there, isn't there? And the big one in the FQPL is Logan Lightning falling short of a win there.
Did I read Capalaba went down as well? The league leaders?
I believe so.
I'll have to have another look.
To Souths, I believe.
Yeah, that's another surprising one. So a night of surprises in the FQPL.
And that changes up the league a little bit, doesn't it? It opens it up a bit more.
Allows those 3rd and 4th place teams, particularly Sunshine Coast Wanderers, just to squeeze a little closer to the top of the table.
They'll start to get excited. They can feel them getting up there.
Of course, a short 18-week season, so can't afford to drop points at any stage in such a tight season.
No, definitely not.
Wagstaff.
Gold Coast United seem to have good control of the ball now and a bit more composure going forward, which is something they lacked for the first 50-odd minutes of the game.
That second goal seems to have sparked some attention, some urgency.
Yeah, it definitely has.
So Smith's free kick. Sort of at mid-range. Ma turned his back to it. Handball. Referee was unsighted. Was looking for some assistance from the assistant. Didn't come. Smith. Back stick. Glanced away from goal. Couldn't get an effective touch on it. I think it was Wagstaff. No, it was Thwaite, actually. As the rain dies down, enough for us to take down the umbrella. Brief shower for 15 or so minutes there.
Thanks for the umbrella, mate. It kept my hair nice and dry.
Glad I ducked off there at half time and grabbed it when it looked a bit threatening.
In the wrong industry. Should be a weatherman.
Looking up, you can sort of see that there's a few shadows of the moon gliding through some of the cloud, but virtually obstructed tonight, the moon.
It is. It's beautiful and clear last night, though.
So disputed possession. Control now from Gold Coast United, and Thwaite just holds it up momentarily. Reeves. Looping around was Wagstaff. Nodded away by McGowan, who's a touch slow to get back to his feet as the strikers are ready to make their first change of the evening. And coming on in jersey 11 will be Zach Maltby. He scored 2 goals off the bench last week in that FFA Cup victory against the Gold Coast Knights, and he's coming on to replace the first goal scorer of the evening, Fraser Hills. His night is done. 20 minutes into the second half. So Zach Maltby on in jersey 11, looking to recreate that effort from last week.
Definitely be fancying it. He scored a couple, so coming off the bench. It's interesting, isn't it? Some players do prefer coming off the bench and scoring a couple, don't they? Interesting to see, even at the high level.
Probably makes them just a little bit hungry with that limited time to show the coaches their wares, and
most certainly.
Why I should be in the starting 11, not sitting on the pine to start off with.
It almost does them a lack of justice, doesn't it, when they do so well coming off the bench, because the coach thinks he might be able to spark something.
And here he is, Maltby, showing plenty of pace here. Zigzags. Maltby almost looked to take a shot at goal, but the ball just took a bit of a heavy touch, and Pengelly loses out. Mackay dancing and weaving using his experience. Wagstaff hung up against the touchline. Mackay. Skimming ball, slides past Smith. Straight to the feet of Halliday.
Seems to be slipping under a couple of the feet. It must be the wet weather. Gone on the ball there and made it a bit slippier underfoot.
Thought it might have just firmed things up. There's some bare patches on the grass, as you'd expect at this time of year, but any sort of dirt or sandy patches probably just firmed up and now with that shower or two. As we approach the midway point of this second half.
It's been a much more exciting second half, hasn't it? It's been kind of more end-to-end. The Gold Coast have had to open up, try and take more shots at goal, try and get the goals back. And the strikers aren't letting up either.
Yeah, we did talk at the halftime break. It wasn't the most exciting first half. You tend to see a lot of that in the NPL, that it's either the first half is better than the second or vice versa. Sometimes it's very difficult to find a consistent 90 minutes and 2 halves. Sort of see it go either one half or the other. Here's McGowan. Looped over the top for McLean. He's onside. The flag stays down, but hemmed up against the corner. Poked through for Amori. Hit by Thwaite at the near post, who then continues in and defends and gets in a contest with the substitute Maltby. And the referee, there's been some afters here. Cards coming out. The yellow card goes Maltby's way.
Oh, they're trying to get into his ear now. He's got that yellow. They're winding him up a little bit there.
Christian Rees asking the questions of Beck Durko as strikers about to make their second substitute. Seb Scaroni, man coming on in 13, replacing Ryan Palmer. His shift is over. So Scaroni with the better part of 20 minutes. Beck Durko just consulting with the assistant to confirm the change that was made. Play will restart with a Gold Coast United free kick. Plenty of chat out there at the moment.
Just slowed the game down a little bit, hasn't it, that? And that's probably smart from the coach's bench of strikers. Just calm it down a little bit. We're 2-0 up. We want to keep that lead, they're saying.
Far side it is for Smith. He's fouled. Just a little bit stop-start at the moment. About to come up to 70 minutes completed.
Do you think for Gold Coast United, do you think having that week off might have put them on the back foot, Rafe? Or
It's always hard to tell, isn't it? Sometimes it's a blessing. You can recover from injuries, and sometimes it's a curse that you don't get that regular match play, particularly when your opponent has had a blistering performance. Gives them a bit of confidence.
most certainly, I reckon the Strikers would have gained a lot of confidence from their win last week in the FFA Cup against the Gold Coast Knights, and maybe that did push Gold Coast United on the back foot coming in here, having a week off. But it is hard, like you say, to know.
So corner on this side, there was some dispute as to which side it would be played on, but eventually decided that we'll come to this near side. Connor Smith, the man on corner duties. Clump of yellow shirts. Waits moving in all sorts of angles. Nodded on. And Gold Coast United find the equaliser. So they've made this game exciting for the last 20 minutes. Flash of the goal scorer. He'll come up. We'll see his shirt number very shortly. I figure it's Wernerson. It is Dean Wernerson. So we're just under 20 minutes to play. It's game on as Gold Coast United bring it back to 2-1.
2-1, and I tell you what, that was a cracking corner, wasn't it? All it needed was a little touch into the back of the net. Well done. Back to 2-1. Game is on. The Strikers will be shaking in their boots now, I'd imagine.
We talked about confidence. That'll certainly give Gold Coast United plenty now. To be fair, hadn't really looked like scoring through the first 70 minutes of the game, but it's just those one-off moments that you need to spark some action.
That's it. We've now seen 2 goals from set plays this evening, and obviously that's how Strikers broke their deadlock, and now that's how Gold Coast United have got on the score sheet as well. So maybe it just opens it up for a little bit more, but it's been one of those where from open play there hasn't been a whole heap of opportunity. So like we saw, 2 set plays and a long-ranged effort as well are the goals for this evening. So the defences have been cutting out those attacking players.
And there was the goal scorer, Wernerson. Wagstaff, away by McGowan. Mackay. Simple was the call from Christian Rees and didn't quite get what he was looking for. Decision will go the Strikers' way. Wagstaff slowly back up to his feet, but looks to be okay. Although he's just clutching the right wrist, it looks like.
Looking like he landed on that one quite awkwardly, and he's in quite a bit of discomfort.
Some dispute as to whether it should be offside or a throw-in. McDurko waves down the assist on the far side and instead gives the throw-in. Gold Coast United still with 3 subs up their hands as well.
He's thrown that one in, so his wrist must be okay now.
As I said, just landed awkwardly and gingerly and just shook it out. Tyler Wagstaff.
He wagged it out. We can use that one, can't we?
It's taken, 74 minutes for you to come up with a pump?
Yeah. I nearly had one for Palmer as he came off, but I thought I'll keep that one to myself as my dad jokes aren't always the best.
Okay, this is Mar going to ground and the referee with no hesitation in pointing to the spots. Mar was inconvenienced. He tried to keep his feet. He eventually went down. And in the end, Beck Durko had no decision to make other than to point to the spots.
I think that's the right decision there. Went down and won a penalty. So this is could bring them back to 3-1, but we never hold our breath when a penalty is because who knows?
So Kate McDermott's just coming to the sideline to get a drink of water and some instructions. And it will be Andy Pengelly to step up to the spot. We've talked about that he needs to keep this goal-scoring streak alive to remain in touch of the Golden Boot contention. If you can put this one away, It'll be a goal at least in each of his last 7 games that he scored. But let's not count the chickens just yet.
Have a look at how the goalkeeper's standing there. He's very, very much over to one side. Is he playing a bit of mind games?
It's put away by Andy Pengelly. Belts it through the net. Almost put a hole in the onion bag. And the Strikers regain their 2-goal advantage thanks to Andy Pengelly. His 18th goal of the season, now scored in his last 7 games. The Strikers lead Gold Coast United 3-1, a quarter of an hour to play.
Fantastic penalty that. There's no stopping it, no matter who's in the goals in between the sticks. Fantastic, and it brings them to 3-1. So let's see what the Gold Coast United can come up with now and mix their potions, and can they get a couple of goals?
You talked about the keeper's position. You might have almost been channeling Andy Redmayne in the A-League Grand Final. Not quite the crazy hands that Andy Redmayne was doing, but certainly standing off to one side. And I watched the penalty shootout from Victoria Hume City the other night with the former Strikers keeper Michael Weir using very successful tactics and just tapping the bar before the penalty taker. It was successful. It put a couple of the penalty takers off.
It's all about mind games, isn't it? And it's not hard to put someone off in that. It's so psychological. I remember Fabien Barthez when he was playing for Manchester United back in the day, the old French keeper, and he'd go and tap his boots on the side of the goal, side to side, putting off that player, just playing those mind games. And it does seem to work.
Interestingly, I think that tactic is outlawed from the start of next season. It's already come into place of the Women's World Cup with the rule changes coming in for next season.
Been quite a few rule changes, isn't there, that we'll have to get used to for next season.
The one where the ball doesn't necessarily have to leave the penalty area anymore from a goal kick or a free kick inside there, as we're about to see a couple of changes here for Gold Coast United. So coming on will be Ryan Kavanagh in 19 and 14 Jaron Peppercorn in 14. Players being replaced. 16 is one, Tom Miller, and the other one is Braden Steele. So Pfefferkorn and Kavanagh in 14 and 19 respectively.
And that's obviously another change as well next year, isn't it? Sorry to cut you off there, Rafe, but substitutes, they have to exit wherever they're closest to the sideline next year. So that's an interesting change as well.
Great addition, that one. It's going to speed up the play, no doubt.
They have to find ways to speed the play back up after the VAR has been introduced, don't they?
So Gold Coast United now two goals behind, 12 and a half to play. Looking to maintain 5th spot on the ladder. Coming into this game 7 points ahead of the Strikers. Plenty of encouragement coming from the Strikers bench.
It looked like he wasn't going to make that.
No, stretched out there, did Scaroni. Fresh legs. There's a Maury. Over the top was the attempt by Pengelly. Now the substitute for Gold Coast United. Pfefferkorn turns the ball over. Hands go to the head on coach Christian Reeves with that effort. McGowan chiming in from defence for Amori. Amori, edge of the 6-yard box. McGowan still in the opposition penalty area, a long way from his home. Pengelly, he loses out in the end, but the Strikers still putting pressure on Gold Coast, not allowing them out of their behind their defensive third, I should say. Look at this valiant effort here from the Strikers, and the Gold Coast United, the home side, forced to go long and high to get themselves out of danger. And they've turned the ball over to the Strikers. That was a great defensive effort there for the Strikers for about 60 seconds or so to hem Gold Coast United in their own territory.
Yeah, they looked very scary there almost against the United, but couldn't make anything of the opportunities, unfortunately. It's opening up.
Pfefferkorn in a battle there with McGowan. Just shielding the ball. McGowan out for a goal kick.
how much is the game just opening up now? That extra goal, and the Gold Coast United, they've scored one. They fancy themselves to get a couple more. The bench has been very vocal to their feelings towards it at the minute.
So Scott, no rush to get the play back underway with 10 minutes remaining.
I'm glad the fog didn't come to any more of a nuisance as it was before the game.
Oh, I'm disappointed. Nothing better than a thick pea super. Don't see them quite often in Queensland, but it's quite a novelty before kick-off.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking we were in for a tough night.
As I said to you pre-game, we normally see that sort of stuff up in Toowoomba rather than closer to the coast. Might be a bit of a prediction to the future over the next couple of months as the colder months sweep in.
Definitely. It's starting to, now the rain's stopped, it is starting to get a bit colder tonight, isn't it, out here?
Wagstaff. Mackhill from Mackay. Wagstaff's going to loop down the right wing. Gold Coast United instead come backwards to go forwards. There's confusion there between the two Gold Coast United players. Sorts itself out eventually.
Yeah, lack of communication there between the two, wasn't there?
They've got no way through here, Gold Coast United at the moment.
Set up in blocks almost, the strikers, aren't they, to defend this one?
Slowly inching their way forward. That's going to be too far. Great defensive effort here from the strikers in this game.
I mean, they forced that mistake there, didn't they? It's very well done. It's interesting to see because all throughout the game we've seen very hard to break through the defences, and like we said before, we've seen a spectacular effort for a goal and 2 set plays, and 3 set pieces now for goals.
Kavanagh. Got Ma to deal with. Strikers have possession. McLean does a full 360. Negotiates his way out of trouble with the assistance of his teammate. On by Wagstaff. Campbell. Once again, Gold Coast United, no obvious way forward at the moment. Any yellow shirt is being quickly collected by a grey one.
Certainly is.
Looks like Gold Coast might have gone to 3 at the back, trying to chase this game now.
You don't blame them, do you? You can see this go one or two ways if they're not worried about the goal difference. But they need to do it as they're 3-1 down. You want to win a game or get a draw at least.
Campbell. Yabe the man, I think, on that far side. In fact, it's not Yabe. Now Mackay. Backwards again. That's the only way they're going at the moment, Gold Coast United. Maybe the experience of Thwaite can assist. Touch on by Reeves, but no one waiting a yellow shirt, and Scott will take his merry little time to pick the ball up. Has there been a player for you tonight that stood out, Andy? Am I putting you on the spot there, probably?
You are putting me on the spot.
There's no obvious standout, is there really?
There's not really an obvious standout. I'd say number 17 for strikers here, Imaori. He's been quite a good player, solid at the back and driving forward. He's looked quite dangerous as well. But there's not been a real thorough standout, I wouldn't say. What about yourself?
Oh, Maury's always consistent. Maybe McGowan at the back. He's had a pretty good game, anchoring that defence. McLean hasn't filled the official on the other side as Pengelly blazes it over the bar. All for naught anyway. And with just over 5 minutes remaining, we might take a final check on those NPL games that were in progress. So Brisbane City and Moreton Bay have ended up 2-2 at full time. And with a similar amount of time remaining in Mackay, 83 minutes gone, it's still Magpies Crusaders and South West Queensland Thunder 2-2 there in that relegation battle. So 1 point not really good enough for both those sides. They both need all three. It's one of those situations where both sides need the 3 points to help out their respective causes.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously we know the Crusaders, they've gone through some tough times recently, losing their head coach and their technical director, Anthony Alexander, having to step into that position. So, you know, keeping the boat afloat there, and I hope all the best for them, as they are a well set up and organised club as well. Love to see them stay up into the top tier.
So this might spark something here for Gold Coast United.
Surprised the Aldi Miniroos are still out kicking. They're still awake.
They are.
Yes. Well done to them, and a credit to the club for organising so many Miniroos to be a part of today's match as we recognise and celebrate them. So thank you very much to Gold Coast United and the surrounding clubs that have come together to bring some Miniroos to see their local heroes.
And this is posing some late interest for the Miniroos. It might keep them up a little bit longer because there's a corner here for Gold Coast United. And a goal here would make things interesting indeed once more. Twin towers of Pengelly and Halliday there with the initial defensive effort as it's recycled back into the box, and a glancing header just falls wide of the target.
Whiskers, that was Whiskers in that. That was unbelievable effort. He jumped a mountain there to get his head to the ball, but unfortunately didn't rustle the back of the net.
So even though they're a couple behind the Gold Coast, they're causing the Strikers some headaches still. 3+ stoppages. Still time.
There is still time. We've seen games won in these types of positions, haven't we? And especially coming down 2 goals, anything can happen.
Yeah, the Strikers just don't want to be caught napping. Mori.
Well done.
Silky skills from the Japanese boy.
Well done.
Always a delight to watch, as you picked out earlier on. And Pengelly, he's caught offside. I thought the man on the far side there might have kept him on, but assistant right in line with that one.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I must admit we're not in line with it, so can't argue.
Can't get the replay out for the VAR line on the offside.
The VAR has been used a lot in this FIFA Women's World Cup, hasn't it? From the games that I've seen, I've tried to watch the majority of them, and I've seen it come into play a lot, which is it's been really interesting to see how the dynamic of the game has actually changed with the introduction of the VAR. What's your takes on it? Have you got an opinion on it yourself?
I thought it worked really well in Russia last year. It was very quick, wasn't it? It seems to be a bit slower this time round in France.
Yeah, definitely. I think
even in the A-League, it's slow as well. So I just don't know whether, and I'm not meaning to be rude here, maybe there was more of an investment put into it in the Men's World Cup, and maybe it's not the quite same investment in the Women's World Cup, and maybe the same technology isn't available. I don't know, but yeah, it seems to be. Thought it worked well in Russia. Anyway, here's Pengelly. Searching for a second. He's one-on-one with the keeper. Puts it away. They'll put it beyond doubt. And the Strikers will be coming away from Gold Coast with all 3 points as Andy Pengelly scores his second for the evening, a minute from the full-time whistle.
It's a good finish, isn't it? I mean, the keeper's done all he can, got a hand to it, got a touch, but just wasn't strong enough, unfortunately. And when you're that close, one-on-one situation, you always have to fancy a striker, especially when he's in as much form as he is coming into this game. And now he's popped 2 in the back of the net. He'll just be kicking himself again that he couldn't have got that third.
Goal number 19 for the former Western Pride man. And now I think, is he going to earn himself an early shower? Yeah, he will be. Andy Pengelly's coming off and coming on in 21 as Danilo Kovacevic. I think he's a bit disappointed. I think he was trying. Wanted to give me a chance to score 3, boys. Come on.
He's done well. He's deserved himself a little bit of an early break. Get in the showers, get nice and warm.
And as you say that, we're going to be bookended by the fog. It's coming back in again. So I was here at kick-off, went away for the 90 minutes, and I think it could be here for the remainder of the night after the lights are turned off.
Spoke too soon, didn't I? The commentator's curse.
So into stoppage time now. Not even the scoreboard attendant can bring themselves to ticking that striker's goal over to number 4. Remains steadfast on 3 at the moment. Maybe some late consolation for Gold Coast United.
And that's all it would be if they did score now. I can't see them getting back into the match. Ooh.
Looped over by Mackay. The turn hits the crossbar. Oh, well. I just sensed it was going to come a consolation there and almost did so.
How unlucky is that? What an effort. He's done really well to get himself into the position there, have a strike, and the crossbar is still shaking now by the looks of it. Unbelievable effort.
It's a great ball through by Mackay as well, and it was Yabe chiming in from the defensive line. And hasn't scored this year, so...
Could have been it. Could have had 2 first goal scorers tonight, couldn't we? Unfortunately not the case. The keeper was well and truly beaten there, though.
Time for one last check in Mackay. Let's see. Is there any further progress there into stoppage time there too? And it's still 2-2, so it looks like a share of the spoils there between 2 of the regional sides, Magpies Crusaders and South West Queensland Thunder.
It's beautiful ground there in Mackay they've got.
Haven't had the opportunity of being there yet, but some of the pictures I've seen looks like a great facility.
Absolutely fantastic, and they've got the sports club there as well, which is very good for a nice steak, but it's a beautiful facility they've got there, so really good setup.
So the dying embers of this game playing out once again. Gold Coast in search of a consolation. Scott just says, I'm banging this one long and straight to my opposite keeper because I don't want the ball anywhere down this end of the park. Thank you very much. We're happy that we'll now be moving into positive goal difference. +3 they'll be after this game, Brisbane Strikers. And their 8th win of the season. Take them to 27 competition points.
And with the draw before of Moreton Bay, that takes them above, doesn't it? So, well done to them. They've creeping back up there. They're back into form after their last league loss, but then the FFA Cup win, and they've done much better than they did at the start of the season in the first round. So it's good to see Strikers back to where they kind of belong.
So 3 minutes of stoppage time completed. Couldn't see too much more than that being played. Tug of the shirt. Decision goes Scaroni's way, and indeed that is full time. Well, it was Fraser Hills who opened up the scoring in the 19th minute with his first goal of the season, sending the Strikers into the break 1-0 leaders. Jake McLean, in his 100th game for the club, added to the Strikers' tally on 53 minutes, putting them 2-0 ahead. Then there were signs of a Gold Coast United fight back when Dean Wernerson scored with 20 minutes remaining, bringing the score back to 2-1. But an Andy Pengelly penalty in the 75th minute and then a goal from open play in the 89th, bringing up his 19th goal of the season, and it sees the Strikers collect the full quota, 3 points, here this evening at Complex. Brisbane Strikers with a 4-1 victory over Gold Coast United. Andy Allen, what do you make of the game tonight?
Tell you what, the second half, that kept everyone awake. It was much better than the first. So thanks to the lads for putting on a bit of a show after coming out of the sheds. I'd say Strikers got a bit of a wake-up call in the sheds as well. They're only 1-0 up, so they got probably told, let's get stuck back into them. And we thought, when it came back to 2-1, we might have seen a bit more life from Gold Coast United. But the Strikers getting that penalty really sealed the deal, and then the last one as well. But great effort from both teams in the second half. Really lived it up a little bit. And, no, fantastic second half. All in all.
Smiles all around on the Strikers players, as you'd expect. We're going to wrap it up here from the Gold Coast. Thanks for joining me, Andy. I'm sure we'll be back together at some stage over the next 3 months or so as the season comes to its conclusion.
Most certainly. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
No problems, and thanks for joining us here this evening, everyone. No matter where you are around Australia or around the world, it's the Brisbane Strikers who come away from the Gold Coast with 3 points, 4-1 winners in our NPL Queensland Round 20 match of the week. They've defeated the Gold Coast United side. Strikers 4, Gold Coast United 1. On behalf of all the team, it's Andy Allen and Rafe Griffin signing off from Coplix.